Let me bring in Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Always good to see you, Senator. Good morning.
But good to be with you.
You know what the Republicans are saying about the Buffett rule. They say it's class warfare. What's your argument?
Well, I think the Republicans are right. Class warfare is being waged in America. Unfortunately, it is corporate America and the billionaires who are waging class warfare against the middle class and working families, and sadly, the wrong side is winning. Chris, there was a study that just came out recently, and it said that between 2009 and 2010, 93% of all new income went to the top 1%. Today, you have the top 1% earning more income than the bottom 50%. You have the 400 wealthiest people in America owning more wealth than the bottom 150 million Americans. So what you will see is a growing gap between the people on top who are doing phenomenally well, who, as the president points out, their effective real tax rate is the lowest in decades, and on the other hand, you have a declining middle class and massive unemployment. Should the wealthiest people in this country, in terms of deficit reduction, in terms of helping us fund education and infrastructure, be asked to pay more in taxes when their tax rates are the lowest in 50 years? Of course they should.
Well, here's what they say, that even if they were to go along with the Buffett rule, it's only going to generate about $50 billion in tax revenues over 10 years, which is a drop in the bucket when you're dealing with a $15 trillion deficit.
Well, they're right. I mean, and we have got to do a lot more. And clearly one of the other things that we have got to do, in addition to moving toward progressive taxes, personal income taxes, is we have to do away with these outrageous corporate tax loopholes that exist. You have major American corporations, including oil companies, making billions of dollars a year in profits, and in some cases paying nothing in federal income taxes. You have the wealthy in corporate America stashing huge sums of money in tax havens like Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. We're losing $100 billion a year in revenue. So should we start closing some of these tax loopholes that corporations are enjoying? Of course we should.
Yesterday, I don't know if you heard this, but the former president, George W. Bush, made a rare address at that tax policy conference here in New York, and he talked about the tax cuts that bear his name. Let me play that sound for you, Senator.
I wish they weren't called the Bush tax cuts. If they're called some other body's tax cuts, they're probably less likely to be raised. But if you raise taxes, you're taking money out of the pockets of consumers.
What about that argument, taking money out of the pockets of consumers?
You know, Chris, we did hear that point from President Bush for 8 years. We did hear that. And during his 8-year term, we lost something like 500,000 private sector jobs, and we lost something like 30 or 40,000 factories in America. President Bush and Mitt Romney are exponents of a theory called trickle-down economics. And that is, if you give huge tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires and large corporations, they're going to reinvest in America, create decent-paying jobs, and we're all going to live happily ever after. We saw that movie during the Bush years. It failed grotesquely. When Bush left office, we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. We were on the verge of an international financial collapse. It just so happens that theory does not work for ordinary people. It does work for millionaires and billionaires. It has got to change. We've got to start investing in programs that help the middle class and working families, not only real progressive taxation, but also fighting to defend Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, creating jobs by rebuilding our infrastructure, transforming our energy system. President Bush and Mitt Romney's economic theories work for the wealthiest people in this country. They don't work for working Americans.
Senator Bernie Sanders from the beautiful state of Vermont. It's always good to see you.